But I'll guarantee you the first time you hit rocky weather, everyone on the team is going to look at you as the leader. They're going to see, how's he doing? Is he still steadfast on where we're going? Is he still committed to the results, or is he going to change? They're looking at you. So when you hit that first obstacle, you got to stay committed, and you got to communicate through your words and through your actions. This doesn't bother me, I expected it. We're going to keep moving right through it. We're going to learn through every obstacle, and we're going to become better every obstacle that we best on our way to success. Welcome back to another episode of Increase. I'm Blake Anderson. Glad you're here with me. Let me ask you if you've ever suffered from this problem. If you're a leader, seem to have a good team, but aren't getting the results you want. Like the mixed results, it's like hit or miss. It's like sometimes we hit our deadlines, sometimes we get success, and other times it seems to fall short. We don't really know why. Or maybe you felt like we're just not as productive as we should be. I know each individual of my team and they're rock stars, but for some reason we can't seem to get it together as a group. We just don't have the productivity we should. Maybe you go away for a long weekend, or you have a busy couple of days out of the office and you come back and you realize, like, what got done around here? Did y'all even come to work? Or maybe you've suffered as an organization from low morale and struggled to figure out what do I even do about it? How do I get these people to stop complaining all the time? Why is everybody in such a bad mood? I'm paying these people, aren't I? Shouldn't they be happier to have a job and come to work? Or maybe even worse, you've worked in an environment where there's toxic culture. People are infighting and bickering, and it's passive aggressive, and no one will get on the phone with each other. They just want to send texts and emails, and everyone wants to pass the buck and blame, and no one seems to want to take responsibility or get the team moving together. You're like, what gives, everybody? I know that we've got a great product. I know that there's talented people around here, but we don't seem to have the results. Have you ever felt that way? I believe that there's no economy too good for a bad business, and there's no economy too bad for a great business. Yeah, we've got some shifting sands in our economy right now with high interest rates and inflation that seems to be out of the control of the Fed. But some people's businesses are booming and some people's aren't. I don't think you can blame everything on economic conditions. You see, when things start to get hard, many business leaders go to, maybe I need a new marketing strategy, or I should get the consultant in here, or we got to pay for our SEO, or maybe it's ads. You're frustrated about the results, and so you start to look to external answers when maybe the solution is on the inside. You see, when you get the inside game right, there's a completely different possibility. No matter what the economic circumstances, you can have a business, you can have a team, you can have a company that's operating and living and working on purpose, that gets targeted, expected wins. You can have a team and an organization that seems to have that momentum that can overcome any obstacle, where there's energy, where there's growth, where there's advancement. You can have a team or an organization where there's teamwork, where people are working together, where even the folks that aren't that qualified, when they join your team, seem to be really productive because they're feeding off the culture and the chemistry of the folks on the team, and they just find a way to get it done because they work together. You can have a team that has great cooperation, where your results are where your wins and your results are the result of cooperation and alignment, where there's creativity, where there's problem solving, when people don't shift blame and there's no passive aggression, and instead when someone drops the ball, there's someone there to pick it up, and we don't cast blame, we don't embarrass or humiliate them. We say, I was happy to be here for you because I know you'd be there for me. You can feel energetically the difference as I described to you these two different scenarios. And I know if you're like me and you've been a business leader for long enough, the same team often goes through seasons of both. The team that's riding high one season can be the team that's in the gutter the next. So what do? How do you get your underperforming team out of the gutter? How do you get that ship turned around? What do you do as a leader? Is success possible again? Well, I believe it is. And I want to list out some principles that will make the difference, because I believe that the leader has two main responsibilities to keep their team winning and moving in the right direction. And really, the leader's main function is to cast vision. You see, Yogi Berra said it best that if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. The Bible says it another way in Proverbs 29:18 that says, without vision, the people perish. You see, we need to know where we're going, and if we don't, we'll end up somewhere else. We'll wander astray. We won't hit our results. And what happens in your team when you stop being successful? When you stop hitting your results? When you know that you've lost? You see, the leader has got to be able to cast vision and continue to point the team in the right direction. But we all know that's not enough, because we can't just have a target and get there by any means necessary. I was meeting with a group of leaders yesterday, and we were talking about what it's like to lead an organization, the importance of having vision. And one of the pastors in the group who leads an organization, has been leading the same organization for 25 years, says, I'm really careful about the way people are treated, because I've seen our organization and others put a goal ahead of us and decide we're going to get there by all means necessary, and we burn people out and we run people off and we tear down people in order to achieve success. And I know that that's not long-term sustainable, and it's not right, and that's not the way of Christ. So we agreed that the leader might have the important role of setting the vision and setting the direction. It's also their responsibility that they create the culture and the climate, that they put the guardrails on the effort, that we put the guardrails on the way we get to success, that we have these principles and ways that we know that, we're going to get to our goal, but there's just certain things we won't do. There's a certain way in which we're going to get there. And then the leader takes responsibility to not just set a culture that's agreed upon, but a climate where there's an effect of the culture, where people can feel productive and appreciated and want to give their all. I want to tell you a recent story. So it was sometime in the fall of 2023, and our real estate and construction business hit a wall. Much of our business is building projects for other investment groups. And all of a sudden, work began to dry up, and we got the memo way too late. And morale started to crash as the reality was sinking in that the projects weren't ready to start, and there wasn't the backlog that we used to have. And you could feel everyone start to drop, droop, get less hopeful for the future, wonder, will I still have a job? We have people in all areas of the business who are experts in what they do, but most of them are not responsible to bring business in. And so they sit in a very vulnerable place, trusting that the leadership of the business will bring the projects in that will keep them employed. And it felt like that we had gotten the memo too late. And we realized that we were going to have to bring in more business, and it was going to take some time, and we were heading into a storm. Now, how do you head into a storm with a team that you want to be able to weather it out with you? Well, we met with the team, and we began to cast vision. We began to be honest. You're hurting, we're hurting, we're all hurting, but we believe in a better future. We began to speak to our leaders and said, we are going to grow out of the struggle. But one of my key leaders came to me and said, what you're saying isn't enough. I appreciate that you want to grow. I appreciate that we can learn something from the struggle, but you got to show us where we're going. We need a vision for the future. We've got to know that this work we're about to do is going to lead us somewhere, and we've got to all be moving in the right direction. I knew that's exactly what the team needed, and I was ready to listen to one of my leaders. And so we sat down and we spent some time with everyone, showing where we've been, the struggle that we find ourselves in, but where we're going to end up on the other side, the lessons that we were learning, the principles that we were putting in place, the new processes that we were being developed to overcome the obstacle, but to keep us from getting there again. But we charted a course, and we got buy-in from everyone to know, okay, that's where we're going. And after setting that vision, we didn't just do that, we set some goals. Here's what we're going to try to accomplish. We have a goal to book the rest of the year out with projects so that everyone has plenty to work and that there's safety all across the board. We gave them hope. We gave them a path. We showed them where we're going. But we did a second thing. We have a very strong leadership culture in our company, and it allows us to endure hard things, probably better than most. But we didn't take it for granted. The leaders at the top, we humbled ourselves and realized, we owe it to these guys to sow into them, to invest in them, to spend more time, to work alongside, to be in the trenches right there with them. And we realized that if we were going to cast a vision to somewhere better, but if it was going to take us through somewhere bad, then we better be the first ones into the ditch. So we were the leaders, were the ones that steered our faces straight into the storm, to show the guys, I'm not just sending you out there without me, I'm leading you through it. And we got to work. There was probably a 6-month period. We started burning the candle at both ends. We got out there meeting people, meeting new people, going to the places that we had never been and never had to go, to find investors, to find people that needed building projects, to find deals that we could purchase, to raise investment capital. And the beautiful thing is, as you know how God works, when you put action behind your faith is when you start to get results. And it was only a couple months later that we went from this dim future, wondering whether any one of us would have an income waiting for us later this year, to having a packed schedule. Morale boosted because we knew what was coming. They saw the contracts. They saw the jobs. They saw their schedules begin to get booked up, and there was confidence. And in that, we sowed into the leaders. We had one-on-one meetings with leaders. We doubled down on the leadership culture, knowing that, guys, what we're doing is we're preparing for more. And so in the slow times is not when we go to rest, it's when we go to work. And we all went to work together. We worked on ourselves. We worked on the process. We worked to create a better business that would find itself a completely different, transformed company on the other side of the storm, not just having survived the storm, but ready to grow to a whole another level. So where do you find yourself today? Is your future certain? Is there confidence in your team about where you're going? Are your people following you? Will they follow you where you're going? Do they even know where you're going? I don't think it's ever the wrong moment as a leader to cast a vision, to set goals, to understand that the climate is your culture, your responsibility, and the climate's the effect of it. As I said in the beginning, there's many companies, when they face hard times, you think you can just throw money at the problem. You can buy more marketing, you can create more videos, you can get a social media presence, and all those are wonderful things. But most of the time, you need to keep the main thing the main thing. You got to put first things first. And when you start to get results that you don't like, the first thing you do is you look within. Because see, your external results are always a product of your internal reality. And so if you stop liking your external results, then you need to start looking at your internal reality and go to work to create the business on the inside so that you can get those results on the outside. And you as a leader, it's your job to set a vision, to show everyone where we're going, to set goals and benchmarks along the way that will help you get there. It's your job as the leader to create and maintain a culture that can achieve those results, a culture that's principled, that will ensure that when you get there, you're happy with the people that you've become and you're happy with the effect of the results. And it's your job as the leader to maintain the climate. See, the culture is the underlying principles, but the climate is the effect of it. It's how people actually live out those principles. We might say that we have a principle of trust and integrity, but the climate is whether people actually operate that way, whether there's actual trust between the team. So it's your job as a leader to set a culture, maintain a climate that will make your end result, your vision possible. So I want to leave you with 4 steps, a pathway to get you there. I think you can immediately start using these principles, but there's an order of things to do that creates that pathway that you can start leaving this place of your problem as you head to the future of your possibility. So the first thing that you've got to do is you're going to have to build back trust. You're going to have to earn the trust back with your team. If you find yourself, there's low morale, unsure future, results we don't like, we got to first earn the trust back. And you as a leader, you need to empathize. You need to start listening. You need to start caring. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Stephen Covey said that highly effective people seek first to understand, then to be understood. You see, you need your team to understand your vision. But before they're willing to, they need to know that you understand them. So you've got to empathize. You've got to get on their level. You build trust with the care, but then you start to build trust with results. You've got to start creating wins as a leader. They've got to see in you the future that you're asking from them. So you've got to start showing them what wins and results look like. Second thing you need to do as a leader is you've got to get buy-in and commitment from the members of your team. You see, John Maxwell says that people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. So first you started building trust with your team and you're getting them to buy into you as the leader. And after they've bought into you as a leader, then they're in a position to buy into your vision, to make a commitment to the future. Because trust me, if you find yourself in an uncertain place with an uncertain future, then there is work ahead. And it's going to take all hands on deck and everybody working together to create the process and to start executing the plan to get you there. And you're going to need commitment. So you lay that vision out there and you get everyone to commit. And don't rush that. Don't assume because you put it on a whiteboard and everybody shook their head that means that everybody is committed. As a leader, take the time to visit with every one of your key leaders. Ask them how they feel about it. Make sure they're on the same page and get their commitment. Work through any difference you might have so that we see eye to eye and then get them to do the same for the leaders that are under them. Third thing you need to do as a leader. So you've started to earn your trust back. You've gotten commitment about the vision and where you're going. Now set targets. See, we've got to get momentum moving with the team. So we want to start creating wins as fast as possible. So start setting small targets very close and then moving those targets a little bit further out. People have got to be able to plot their course and they've got to see themselves winning. So we set some early first wins that gets momentum to move to the next set of targets so that they know they're staying on the course, moving in the right direction. And then finally, the 4th step in your path from that problem of low morale, mixed results, and uncertainty to this possibility of a confident, conquering company is you're going to have to stay consistent. It is going to take consistency because you might have the best plan. You might have everybody bought in. You might have some targets set. Trust me, there are still some tough days ahead of you. But strong teams that are committed to each other, that have momentum going, can overcome almost any obstacle. But I'll guarantee you the first time you hit rocky weather, everyone on the team is going to look at you as the leader. They're going to see, how's he doing? Is he still steadfast on where we're going? Is he still committed to the results, or is he going to change? They're looking at you. So when you hit that first obstacle, you got to stay committed. Stay committed. And you got to communicate through your words and through your actions. This doesn't bother me. I expected it. We're going to keep moving right through it. We're going to learn through every obstacle, and we're going to become better at every obstacle that we best on our way to success. You stay consistent. That's one of the hardest things for leaders to do, and that's why most companies don't get to the visions they've set. They don't accomplish the goals that they put forth because they're not willing to be consistent day in, day out, day in, day out. Honor the commitments. If you're used to having a meeting once a week to keep your team together, to build your leaders, don't stop doing that when you get busy. Don't stop doing that when morale is low. You need to be consistent. The things that start creating the early momentum will be the things that get you all the way to the finish line, and you've got to execute like clockwork. And trust me, if your team will see consistency from you as a leader, then they will just continue to stay with the momentum, allowing that momentum to pull them there. You see, more is possible for you. I know you've had results. If you're watching this, you're a leader. You've had some results. But like many leaders, we find ourselves in places we didn't plan. And we've got to decide, what are we going to do now? So now when you've hit this rocky spot and you wonder what's going to happen with the election, what's going to happen with the economy, what about interest rates? Your team, whatever you're wondering, your team is feeling the same way. You realize you have two primary responsibilities as a leader. You got to set a vision, create goals to get there, and you've got to establish a winning culture and maintain the climate that upholds that culture and makes your vision possible.